Good afternoon and welcome to the joint hearing of the Senate Committee on Government Operations and Judiciary. Today is Thursday, March 17th at 3:00 p.m. We are in conference room 16. I'm Sharon Moriwaki, Chair of the Government Operations Committee, and joining me today is Chair of the Judiciary Committee, Senator Rhodes, and our members are to come, I hope. Before proceeding with the hearing, I'd like to make a few housekeeping announcements. This hearing is being streamed live on YouTube. You can find links to viewing options for our Senate meetings on live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. Because of our recording, the hearing is limited to 90 minutes to accommodate everyone who registered. So we limit it to 2 minutes. In the unlikely event that we encounter major technical difficulties during the hearing must end it abruptly, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding issues on Thursday, March 22nd in conference room 16. We are working in hybrid mode, hearing first those who testify in person, followed by those testifying remotely, and then the written testimony submitted. The only bill before us is House Bill 2085, proposing amendments to Article 7, Sections 12 and 13 of the Hawaii State Constitution to expressly provide that the legislature may authorize the counties to issue tax increment bonds and to exclude tax increment bonds in calculating the debt limits of the counties. I don't see anyone testifying in person, but we have people testifying on Zoom. So DBED, do we have anyone from the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism on Zoom? Okay.
Good afternoon, Chair Rhodes and Senator Moriwaki. Rodney Funakoshi. Actually, I'll be representing both the DBED, the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, and the TOD Council. So all of which we're all in strong support of this measure, and we stand on our written testimonies.
Okay, thank you, Rodney. Then the City Department of Planning and Permitting.
Aloha, Chair. Harrison Rue on behalf of DPP. We stand on our letter in strong support of the measure and recommend its approval.
Thank you, Harrison. The HCDA.
Good afternoon, chairs and vice chairs and members of the committee. Craig Nakamoto for Hawaii Community Development Authority. We stand on our written testimony supporting the intent of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. NIOP, Hawaii, Evan Wee.
Not present, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Tax Foundation of Hawaii, Tom.
Thank you, Senator Moriwaki, Senator Rhodes, members of the committees, Tom Yamachika for the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. Our one concern is excluding these bonds from the debt limit. There really is no reason, we think, to give this type of bond preferential treatment while we make it a priority to get our other bonds in the debt limit. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else wishing to testify either in person or on Zoom? Okay. Oh no, he's here. Are you here for this bill?
No.
Tax information. You'd want to speak on it? Okay. You may want to answer it. So, and we have one written testimony from an individual in opposition. Members, any questions? Okay, hearing none. Oh, you have any questions? No. Okay, hearing none. I think we have discussed this previously, and I think we are ready to
we don't have
go.
a quorum yet.
Oh.
GVO, we're trying to get them to come down now.
Oh, they're coming down?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll just make the announcement about whatever you want to do. Probably just recess for a minute.
Okay, we'll recess. This is the joint hearing of a Government Operations Committee and the Judiciary Committee. This is on HB 2085, proposing amendments to Article 7, Section 12 and 13 of the Constitution, Hawaii State Constitution, to provide the legislature with authorization to the counties to issue tax increment bonds. The chair's recommendation is to pass as is. Vice Chair Dela Cruz.
House Bill 2085, recommendation passed on amended. Chairman Waki,
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Chang.
Aye.
Senator Gabbard, excuse, Senator Cordell,
Aye.
recommendation adopted.
Same recommendation for JEC. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members passing on amended. Chair Rhodes.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Ocasio.
Reservations.
Senator Gabbard is excused. Senator Kim is excused. Senator Lee is excused. Senator Favela.
Aye.
Recommendation adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is no other business. This hearing is adjourned. Continuing on with government operations, this is Government Operations Committee only for the 310 agenda. First bill up is House Bill 1494, House Draft 1, relating to Special Enforcement Section. This amends the purpose and duties of the Special Enforcement Section of the Department of Taxation. We see the tax director here. Is he? Are you testifying here on this measure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, committee members, thank you very much for the opportunity to testify on this particular bill. The special enforcement section is the one that brought you $31 million last year for a $2 million.
Could you speak into the
investment.
mic?
And this is a very, very special group of people. They're not auditors, they're investigators, and they're the tip of the spear. They start the audit initiatives, and therefore we like to expand the definition. Just one minor correction we excluded from our testimony. Perhaps on page 2, lines 11 and 12, we could delete the phrase with the stated priority of investigating cash-based business defined in 231.93, and of course, if you could put a good date on it, that would be good. So again, this is a very, very special section, a very, very successful initiative. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Tax Foundation of Hawaii.
Thank you, Chair. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We do recognize that the special enforcement section is made up of very special people. They are still within the Department of Taxation. The Department of Taxation has broad duties and powers under Section 231.3 HRS. They can allocate, I think, their duties and powers within the department however they want to administratively. We don't see the necessity for this particular bill because they can do what they need to internally. They don't need to bother you guys with it. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Mr. Choi, you want to come back up to the table? So would you like to respond to Mr. Yamachika's comment that we don't need this bill because you already have broad authority and you don't need to put it into statute?
Absolutely, Mr. Yamachika is wrong as usual.
Thanks a lot.
No, and the WAM chair just left, but basically it's the funding, right? This is special funded. The rest of my department is generally funded. So we want to try to broaden the scope here so we can actually use the special funds. We're also asking a separate bill, a ceiling increase, only because of the multiples that we get back on this particular section. Also, this particular section started off as the cash economy enforcement section, but it's broadened the scope so much that people don't understand that this is investigators, not auditors. It's really the tip of the spear. It really starts something. But the main reason why we're expanding the scope of this is because of the funding. Thank you.
So one more question then. When you say cash economy, how does that restrict this versus everything else?
No,
I guess?
this actually broadens the definition. If you remember, this particular bill was brought forth by Kurt Kawafuchi to go and walk the craft fairs, right? And at that particular time, our tax gap was like $300 million. That was over 10 years ago. And now we know that tax gap is reaching almost $1 billion. So we want to expand the scope and make sure that, use the same model because this is the guys that you folks gave extra money to do the vacation rentals, right? And to give them other initiatives and projects to do.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other questions? Okay, so next bill up is HB 2007, House Draft 2. This requires cash or protest bonds be returned to the initiating parties minus administrative costs, except in cases where the appeal was frivolous or made in bad faith. Testifying in person, Airlines Committee of Hawaii.
Chair Moriwaki, Vice Chair, Senator Chang, Myung-oh on behalf of the Airlines Committee of Hawaii in opposition. We believe that this measure is unnecessary and would actually serve to complicate and increase future protests. Under current law, if the bid protest carries merit and prevails in the administrative proceeding, they are given back the monies, basically the bond. That is current law. Right now, with this version, it would actually potentially increase future protests and will likely not serve in the best interest of constructions and being able to proceed with timely construction, especially those that are for us, construction at the airports. Happy to answer any questions the committee may have. I'll be around.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify in person on this measure? Okay, testifying on Zoom, State Procurement Office.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Monica Hakui, Acting Administrator for the State Procurement Office. We stand by our written testimony in opposition to this bill and available for questions. Thank you.
What? Water. Okay, next, Department of Accounting and General Services.
Good afternoon, Chair Moriwaki, Vice Chair Dela Cruz, and members of the committee. Audrey Downo, Deputy for Department of Accounting and General Services. That extends on our written testimony in opposition and hope that we can just stay with the original law. And we'll be here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Department of Transportation. Okay. No one from Department of Transportation?
No, Chair.
Okay. GCA? General Contractors Association.
Good afternoon, Chair Moriwaki, Vice Chair Dela Cruz, members of the committee. GCA is in support of this measure. We agree that the system should deter frivolous appeals. However, we believe that legitimate appeals are part of a healthy procurement system. It's essential that the procurement code promotes fair and ethical procurement. The purpose of this bill is to adopt the safeguard in place that every state uses to prevent the chilling effect of deterring legitimate appeals on large projects if they implement a bond requirement. If the purpose of the bond requirement is to prevent frivolous appeals, which the opposition cites and we agree with, then there should be no problem with the current bill. That's because if it's not frivolous or in bad faith, then it's actually not meant to be deterred. Additionally, a frivolous or bad faith appeal will be subjected to the loss of the bond. You shouldn't be subjecting an appeal that has some merit to the loss of the bond. No other state does that except for us. There should be a balance where you deter frivolous appeals without deterring legitimate ones. This is the balance. It's been adopted and used in every other state that requires a bond. They also cite that we need to wait until we have proof that there's a problem. We don't agree with this. If you put it this way, if you're a foreign government looking at a legislative system and using it as a model for yours, but you forget to include a safeguard provision, such as a process that allows for veto overrides, you're going to fix it so that there's proper checks and balances. You're not going to wait until there's a situation where you need it before saying, okay, let's amend the law now. By then it's too late. They also cite that there's no cases submitted to the Office of Administrative Hearings that were deemed to be frivolous or in bad faith. I've asked around to members who have appealed and have also had their awards appealed, and also attorneys who have handled appeals, and was told that, of course, that would be the case because there's no provision in the procurement code that allows the Office of Administrative Hearings to even make that determination. Hence why this bill is inserting that language. I think there's some confusion regarding bid protests and appeals of agency decisions. Here we are dealing with appeals of agency decisions, which is a fraction of the amount of bid protests. I believe there are only 5 to 16 cases of appeals a year. I want to make that distinction clear. Again, this is just a conforming amendment to include safeguard language that should have been included in the measure last year that removed the bond cap. However, the public was not offered a chance to weigh in on this provision. Hawaii is the only state that does not have this language. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, one individual, Anna Oshiro. I think I see you on. Anna?
Hi, thank you for taking the time today. I speak in favor of the bill today. I think that Ryan is correct when he talks about there being some confusion with respect to the difference between bid protest and bid protest appeals. The bid protest is just the letter that gets submitted by people who think that there's something amiss with a bid. And that happens on a lot of different projects. And that was the slowdown of bid protests was addressed by the legislation that happened last year, which was to speed up the timing for decisions on bid protests. The problem is that at the 11th hour, that bill was changed to add the lifting of the cap on the bid protest appeals, which is really not an issue as far as slowing down the process of bids because of two things. Number one, it is extremely expensive and a risky proposition already because you do have to put up money and it costs money to do it. And as a practitioner in the area, I will say that I turn away many more attempts to appeal than I take on. That's why you only have in the area of 10 to 15 or 16 of these a year. It just doesn't happen very often because it's already expensive. But what this does is it really forecloses any review of the really large jobs because it's incredibly risky to take on that appeal. And that's exactly where we need that oversight. When we are going to be parking $500 million and $300 million of state dollars, we need to have some oversight. And we're not talking about an extended period. We're talking about 45 days. That's the statutory limit on an appeal. And having a safeguard in place that, hey, if you file a frivolous one, you pay a whole lot of money if you file a frivolous appeal. That's a safeguard. It protects the state, but it also protects the process because we still have the review. And I think I would like to emphasize something else that the GCA said, which is the idea that, hey, this is new, let's just wait to see how it goes. And I think an even more simple analogy would be like if a jail door is left open. If a jail door is left open, you don't say, we just left it open. Let's close it if somebody escapes and does some crimes, and then we'll get around to closing it. No, the issue is you've got a problem because right now, the way that the bill is crafted, the way that the law exists, it forecloses any realistic oversight over super large jobs. That's a real big problem. And so we've got to close that door. And this is a way to do it that still allows for a real punitive measure on people who file frivolous appeals, but keeps in place the safeguards that the procurement code envisioned.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on this measure, either on Zoom or in person? Members, any questions?
If I may.
Sorry,
and yeah, I'm Lance Inouye. I'm from Ralph Inouye Company. I'm testifying for them as well as me personally and the General Contractors Association. But if I may just provide a kind of a 30,000 overview of the situation. As many of you know, this is the first time this year, but I've testified before this committee, and I've read all of the testimony, especially for the agencies, and I find them very credible. They're very good points. And my comments are not to cast any dispersions on any of the committees. But I wanted to point out that as Anna and Ryan both pointed out, that there aren't very many appeals to the DCCA every year, 8 to 10, and this year maybe more. It was in a testimony in an earlier committee by the Honorable Bani Kahakui, sorry. So it's not a humongous amount, but I just wanted to point out that all this delays talk is really in the hands of the agencies themselves. It's 103D 701C, which gives them 75 days to make a decision plus another 45 days extension. That's 4 months. And then if someone does not agree with the decision, that's the only time that it goes before the DCCA, in which the 1% bond applies. And that's in 709B, and they have 45 days, no extension. So we're talking about 4 months and 1.5 days. So all this talk about delays is really in the hands of the agencies by law now. I've heard the we contractors, for us, time is money. And so we don't like delays as well. And we don't just appeal for no reason at all. So all the costly delays or project losses is really in the hands of the agencies themselves. The 1% bond does not help. It is the point I wanted to make. And to attack the problems with protests really should be the subject matter of what is added to the procurement code. You know, like products preferences, all these preferences. And we've talked about it. I don't want to hurt anybody's opinion on, other matters that are added on. And there's talk in Senate Bill 2662 now to add another recycled products preference. Those are the things that cause protests. So just wanted to point all that out, but and I just want to lay out the law as it is. And, I understand the agency's concerns and I feel for them. I personally do not like protests. I don't like to delay projects. And we contractors in general don't like delays. Sorry I took so much time, but just wanted to.
Thank you, Lance. So any other people to testify? I'm going to go into short recess. No, we can go for it. Okay. We have the recommendations. Okay, we're going to move right into decision making on this. On HB 1494 relating to the special enforcement section, the chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments, taking the tax director's recommendation to delete pages on page 2, lines 11 to 12, section 2 of the bill. Members, any discussion, questions? If not, chair votes aye. Vice Chair Dela Cruz.
Bill 1494, recommendation as an amendment with 3 members present to excuse any objections, reservations, recommendation adopted.
Next, House Bill 2007, House Draft 2 relating to procurement, the cash of protest bonds be returned to initiating parties minus administrative costs. Hearing the testimony of the concerns, also the chill factor on large projects, but also that Act 224 really just got passed last year, and the state procurement office is saying that there were more appeals than less. So I think we will just wait and see what it's going to look like next year. So the chair recommends that we defer this year. So Chair recommendation is to defer. Any questions? Okay. So hearing no other business for this committee, it is adjourned.